Welcome back to the course, Privacy and Security in Online Social Media, Week 6, Part 2. In Part 1 this week, we saw that how to use social media, how organizations are using social media, who are doing law and order, and we understood strategies by which you can actually derive actionable information from the content. Primarily, we looked at Twitter and Facebook as a source, but you can think of any other platform. The methods, the techniques, the algorithms that are used for collecting this data, finding out what is actionable information is almost the same in any platform. Any questions, comments, suggestions? Feel free to add it to discourse. As we are doing the course, it was nice to actually have interactions with some of the students before the quiz 1, where students joined, and I think it was really fun. Talking about a lot of things. I was prepared for the call only for a short period, but the call went on for 1+ hours, which is very nice. Talking about projects, talking about different, of course there was clarifications on questions on closeness centrality, measuring these metrics, all of that, but talking about projects and planning something that you can explore as part of this course were very satisfying. Was very satisfying to see interest of students. Hopefully, as we progress in the semester, we'll see those students do something. Let's see. So one other component that I want to touch this part of the week was this idea about privacy policy. We have mentioned about privacy policy before, but let's just do some deeper dive into privacy policy, components of privacy policy, what does it, why should it have, and how does the privacy policy of different organizations look like. And the next part in this week, we'll actually look at location-based social networks / if you remember, we actually looked at location-based social network idea also sometime back. But we look at this idea called as identity resolution in detail. So, which is resolution in detail, which is more like a privacy problem. Okay, so that will be this part and the next part. Let's get in. What is a privacy policy? Privacy policy, at least this is the Wikipedia Alliance. Privacy policy is a statement or a legal document in privacy law that discloses some or all of the ways of as a party gathers, uses, discloses, manages a customer or client's data. Right. So the important aspect is uses, discloses, manages is the important part. Right. So it's critical to understand that how these privacy policies are written, why these privacy policies are important, particularly from the point of view of the web services that actually we look at or we use, right? And of course, this has details about other, so to say, something that we have already seen in the class, personally identifiable information, PII, also we have seen in the past. Right. So the question that you should ask yourself is that, do we read the privacy policy, right? Generally, when I do these kind of talks, where there are larger audience in front, and when we ask the question, here's a sequence of questions that I end up asking. How many of you have downloaded any app in your smartphone in the last 6 months? Some X number would have raised their hand. How many those of you would have read the end user's license agreement, right, before clicking on the button agree? And there'll be a big smile from all their face. Almost like 0 people would have kept their hands up at this point in time. Similar thing with privacy, right? You look at number of privacy policies that you must have read in the last, let's take 6 months, or last even 2 months, or in the other way around, last even 1 year, will be close to 0. I don't think so. I ever read privacy policy before starting to study privacy policy, right? Of course, one of my introductions to these topics courses, we were talking about privacy policy. That's when I ended up knowing what a privacy policy is, and then there was a homework in the class of looking at X number of privacy policies and comparing them, and then making some inferences about what did they say. Taking policies at different domains, right? Communication, banking, telecom, communication, telecom companies, banking companies. Let's take IT services company and then look at their privacy policy, compare it to an education institute, their privacy policy. Right? So reading of the privacy policy is almost nil. Did a small search for the word privacy policy before putting this deck together, and this is a topic of huge interest at any given point in time. I think at least the course that I took was in probably fall 2004, right? That's close to be like 20 years. When I took this course on privacy policy, and then at that point, from that point in time, I think the work on privacy is just getting bigger and bigger, because I think the problems are also getting bigger and bigger, right? So you have UID, you have all these kind of societal changes that are happening, which makes you to think that, oh, is there a privacy thing that we should consider when making this ID, when making this project, when making this policy public, right? Privacy data protection bill, which is in draft, IT Act 2000, all of this are sort of say necessary topics, and these topics make the idea of privacy prevalent, and more questions get discussed about privacy. Research is done about privacy, all of that. At some point in time, I was this WhatsApp, right? WhatsApp one day decided that they would change some policy process for business accounts, and then there was this overnight there was a notification saying that this is going to change in business accounts, blah blah blah, all that. So that triggered such a large amount of discussion on privacy, and there were lots of people moving from WhatsApp to Telegram. And then I think over a point in time, they realized that there are lesser people on Telegram, or lesser people from their network on Telegram. So some of them moved back. I mean, I remember all of these changes were going on, shift from platform to platform, and people were pinging me in terms of asking, oh, what is going on in privacy? Is this something that we should be worried about? Are our data secure? All of that, right? Privacy policy, that the last one was about research, and privacy policy, of course, is in news for if you look at what problems happen because of privacy policy, it's always there in news. So the point is that if any of you are interested in looking at any research questions, I think privacy policy is a good topic to look at. Facebook privacy policy. So let's do a quick view of all the different organizations or services that we have looked at, some of them, and look at how their privacy policy looks, right? And of course, it cannot be comprehensive in terms of what we can cover here. I'm only going to tell you that feel free to go look at these privacy policies yourself. And if you find anything interesting, if you find any questions, come back. But for now, the Facebook privacy policy is like, what kinds of information do we collect? I think because of OECD, which is an organization in Europe, and FTC, which is an organization in US, which kind of primary goal is to look at customer privacy, customer protection, all of that. These privacy policies are very, very systematically done. What kind of information do we collect? How do we use this information? How is the information shared? How do the meta companies work together? WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook, what do they do? Do they use all the information? You share your information instant. Does a Facebook as an organization get to know that? Or let's take, if you have you never shared your cell number to Facebook, but you're using WhatsApp. Does your cell number shows up on Facebook account also? Right? These are questions that are interesting to know what the policy says, at least. How can I manage or delete information about me? How do we respond to legal requests to prevent harm? Which is if you say that, look, my people have actually stolen my profile picture, they have actually misused, they have created a fake account on Facebook, here is a link and these pictures are getting more viral, what does Facebook do? How do we operate and transfer data as part of our global services, right? So what is their policy in India? What is their policy in US, UK? How well we notify you of changes of this policy. So I've seen some, I don't remember about Facebook itself, but I end up seeing, at least for the Google one, they would, when you go to Google, there'll be a notification saying that, oh, our privacy policy changed. Do you want to take a look at it? And I think they also make you to go to the policy before they let you to do the search at that point in time. How to contact us with questions, meaning if you think that you want to make some request or ask them some questions about how they manage the data, you can actually send them a question. Right. So that's the policy of Facebook. What does Facebook cover? Again, if you look at it, all of them must be multiple pages document. So please feel free to go take a look at it. But generally, the policies would be around the topics that are in the last slide, right? Who has access to it? When can they get access to? Where is the information getting stored? How is the information getting shared with somebody else? All of that. This is topics. How do I choose who can see photos and other things I post on Facebook? So some probably FAQs and popular questions, right? And Facebook has a lot of educational content, which is to teach. At some point in time, I used to actually use this content a lot for interacting and teaching and doing dissemination of these topics to school teachers. Probably like 6-7 years before, we used to have sessions to school teachers about these topics. Hundreds of school teachers used to join us in understanding these topics, because I think it was very important for schools to know how their students, to educate the students of the schools to know about the privacy policies and how these organizations are using their data. Because I think it's important, right? It's important because all these young kids are sharing so much information on social media, or Facebook or Insta specifically. How is that information getting shared? Who gets to see it? All of that. The principals and school teachers were very, very interested in it. If any of you know school teachers, principals, do talk to them. They will tell you about social media problems in their schools also. How do I choose who gets to see, who can see my reactions? How can I see what my profile looks to someone else? This is a nice feature, actually. I've used it at some point in time, which is to say that go look at your own profile, see how does the profile look if you're not connected to me. Right. Or if you're connected to me, something like that. It will be, because essentially if you're not connected to me, you should be able to see only the public post that I do, right? So that's the idea. Tagging, who can see a photo I post? Can other people see my list of friends? How can I stop someone who's bothering me? This is my privacy settings at some point in time, which is to show privacy shortcuts, check a few important settings that you have, look at your activity, who can see your future post. So in my case, it is public. That's something that I've been doing for a couple of years now, which is all my posts, all my content that I create on social, on all platforms for that matter, is public. Right? Review your post and things you're tagged on. You get to see if somebody tags you on a picture. You can actually allow that picture to be shared on your profile or not. Limit the audience of posts you have shared with friends of friends or public. All these controls. So I personally like some of these social platforms, because I think over a period of time, at least I've been seeing it from 2011, from then till 2023, these settings that they provide on these platforms have been getting better and better, and more control over the information that we can. Of course, they can do better. Of course, there are other things that are going on. But from the point of view of, can you control the information that you are sharing with these platforms? I think they have been providing some useful features to get that done. How people find and contact you. So who can send you a friend request? As of now, it's everyone. Who can see your friend list? This is something I kept it, which is only me. Only I get to see my friends list. Who can look up using email address you provided, friends of friends. Who can look at using the phone number you have provided. Do you want search engines outside of Facebook to link to your profile? No. Right. One can think of actually making this yes, I guess. If you go to Google and search for my profile, still my profile should show up there if this is made yes. How many of you just pause the video and think about if you have ever changed your Facebook privacy settings? Not just Facebook, any social media. Since we're talking about Facebook here, I'm questioning that. Face recognition system. Do you want Facebook to be able to recognize you in photos and videos? Of course, right? This is something we actually, if you remember, we even looked at research a couple of weeks back in one of the parts where Alessandro tried and using the Facebook images, uploaded images. They were trying to, I hope you remember this, right? There was a study done where they collected offline pictures and connected it to a Facebook account, and then figured out whether some offline people picture they were able to identify on Facebook, and there were even users who said that their pictures are not online on Facebook. They identified them. This feature is basically to figure out if you are in the picture. If somebody else uploads it also, it'll actually tag you and suggest that you are in that picture. I'm not going to go through all of this in detail, but here is what viewing and sharing, tagging, reviewing. You basically give control, get control for all the things that you do on the network. Public post comments, public post notifications, public profile info, off Facebook previews, comment ranking, username, right? Restricted list, block users, block messages. All of these provides you useful control over the information, over the profile that you're creating. Location settings, right? So can turn on locations history for your mobile devices. It's off for me, so they don't get to see the location of where I'm connecting to Facebook. This is also a nice feature called Privacy Checkup, which is if you go here, so to say, go through the process, you'll get some advice, you will get some feedback about the privacy settings that you have, and over the process of doing privacy checkup, you will be also able to update your privacy settings depending on what you want, how you want the control for the data to be. Here is Facebook, here is Twitter. Facebook is definitely very, very exhaustive in terms of privacy. This one is Twitter. Twitter is a public platform. We collect some data about you. Affiliate services may have their own policies. We use your data to make Twitter better. You can control your experience. If you have questions about how to use the data, just ask. We saw in Facebook also a similar set of questions that are there. Right. Same. This is my account from Twitter, giving you details about your account information, password, tweet deck teams, deactivate your account. I also thought that we should look at the BS program's privacy policy. Here is a privacy policy of the BS program. Again, given that you're students of this class and student of this program, I think it highly demands that you go take a look at the privacy policy of the BS program and share what you think, right? Take a look at the policy, and then if you think there are some interesting lines in the policy, share it on discourse with tagging me, and of course sending the parts of the policy that you think is interesting according to you. Amazon is another big organization, right? So again, a list of things, very, very overlapping list. Again, the purpose for me is to show that all of these organizations do a set of things. Of course, there are small changes here and there because Amazon is delivering your product physically at your home. Facebook is not. So in that sense, those kind of policies may be very different. What about personal information about customers? For what purposes does Amazon use personal information? What about advertising? What choices do I have? Restricted practices and information. The list is pretty big, right? So that's Amazon, that's Swiggy. Swiggy's policies, again, Swiggy does a different set of services, right? They're delivering food for us, and they have a third party that they're interacting with who's delivering the food. What interactions do they have with them? Your concern, policy changes, link to other websites, information we collect from you. What information do they have is what they are mentioning here. Right. So link to other websites, information we collect from you. That's Swiggy. Zomato also has services here. So they have a privacy policy which talks about information you provide to us, information about your friends, information about your messages, right? So all of this opt-in, opt-out, anonymous or de-identified data, a big list of activities that is done on your information. This is Uber. Uber's privacy policy talks about how drivers, what information do drivers get, what information does Uber have, how is that information used, all of that. Ola, Netflix also has some interesting privacy connections, right? If you remember the Netflix price, right? Netflix had a prize in 2006, I think, where they shared recommendations from their services, and they said, can you make the recommendation better? For doing this, they shared some thousands of ratings of customers on viewers on Netflix with their ratings. And they said that here is a large data to train, here is a data to test. Can you actually tell us a better algorithm? Right. So this was a competition that Netflix had. The prize was about $1 million, and there were research done to show that the information that Netflix shared could be used to actually re-identify Netflix users. If you're interested, just look for Netflix privacy. Right. That's Tinder. I'm sure many of you are users of Tinder. Who we are, where this privacy policy applies, information we collect, how we use this information, cross-border data transfers, right? So big one, LinkedIn, and other big servers where privacy is actually a big thing. YouTube also has a lot of personally identifiable information from what we use, and YouTube also has this connection to Google, so therefore the same thing as Facebook. How does two different organizations which are connected collect information? How do they make use of it? How YouTube may use data linked to your account, how YouTube may use aggregated data, how YouTube helps you to control your privacy settings, control what data and activities used to personalize ads, all of that. Insta privacy policy, probably this is the most active social media for most of the audience in the class. So I'm assuming that you would be interested in looking at Insta's privacy policy. Snapchat, right? So just to give you again a whirlwind tour of the privacy policies, but the goal is that to get you to know that privacy policies of all these organizations have a lot of things in common, right? Info that they collect, info that they share, info collect, info share, consent, third party, right? So some of these are very, very critical in terms of information that they collect and information that they share, choices that they're making, all of that. Hope that gave you a sense. I wanted to just inject this part in this week and get you aware of the privacy policies of the organizations that most of us use very actively. And if there's any organization that we missed and you think you want to talk about it, feel free to drop a message. Looking at the privacy policy, I'm happy to take a look at the policy and talk to you about it also. Thank you for listening. See you soon in the next part.